Good night, good evening, Reds. After a great win against Leipzig in our home fixture away in Hungary, get your head around that one if you can. I'm back with the boys who joined me for the pre-match show. Just have a bit of a chat about the game. Obviously, we're all in great spirits. Another professional European performance, Liverpool. It's what we've come to expect, really, isn't it, from a club with such deep European heritage. So we'll start with you, Ian, because you're always the last person to answer, and everyone else steals your thunder, mate. So, in terms of the game, your thoughts on Liverpool's performance? We don't need to dwell on Leipzig, but just talk about the Reds tonight.
I thought we were really, really good today. The only criticism you can put against us is that it could have been 6 or 7 today. Thought the standout performance for me thought Thiago was really good. Thought he had his best game in the red shirt. Thought Nat Phillips was fantastic today. But having Fabinho in the central midfield made all the difference. That has got to be the blueprint now. Fabinho has got to start every game in the central midfield from now to the end of the season. No doubt.
Do you know what? I'm sure you would agree, and we'll get a load of collective nods here, that I'd forgotten how good Fabinho was in the centre of the park, to be honest with you, because we've kind of seen him do so much as a central defender. Ray, I thought he was brilliant there as well, but middle of the park, so good. Special shout out to Nat Phillips. Despite the dodgy headgear to cover up the cut at the weekend, I thought Nat Phillips was immense tonight. He would have headed anything and everything that was put in his direction. The man's a unit, and nobody gets around the back of him doing it. He just goes through everybody. So I thought he had a really good game tonight. Jay, over to you for your thoughts. You were quite vocal in the group. Lots of excitement coming from you, mate. So now the game's done, your thoughts on the Reds tonight?
Oh, I think we were absolutely fucking brilliant, to be fair. Everything we did was just positive. I didn't see any negative football. Everything's going forward. Fabinho breaking up everything in the middle of the park. Like Ian said, surely he's got to start every game in midfield now going forward. I mean, if you look back at my tweets, you'll see I've been screaming for this since probably mid-January for him to start in midfield, just to offer that little bit of bite, like I said before the fixture started. And you see when he's on the ball, his head goes up and he's looking forward every single time. His reading of the game is absolutely fantastic. And like we said before, that released Thiago to actually affect the game higher up the field. Jota, people might shoot me down for it, but he reminds me of when Suarez first came to the club. Just making those runs, and you might not, like you were saying before, he might bumble through it, but the ball's knocking for him. He's getting the ball forward and actually being direct. Everything he does is direct. He runs at defenders. He gives defenders problems. And Upamecano showed today that if you're running at him, he's like Bambi on ice. He's not composed. He looked worried. Every time Mane got a run on him, he looked worried. Every time Salah got a run on him, he looked worried. Every time Jota got a run on him, he looked worried. For me, Bayern have just paid, was it 40 million for him? They've just paid for him. That's not a £40 million centre-back. That is not a £40 million centre-back. So,
I think, to be fair to him,
to
be fair to him, mate, when the ball was there to be won, and it was like a leg race and a physicality, I don't think Upamecano lost one all night. I think you're quite right. When you put the ball on the floor and you go at him, that's different altogether, because he's a unit, isn't he? He's a big lad. He struggles to sort his feet out. It doesn't like players with low centre of gravity. But I thought for a one-on-one central defender coming out to win the ball, he was much better tonight than he was in the first leg. But that's by the by. He's sitting in the dressing room looking at his domestic campaign now because his European session's over. And we stroll on into the next round. Lummers, thoughts on the performance tonight in particular? What did you make of Kabak? I know you kind of watched the game with sort of a tactical awareness, if you like, and I kind of watched him too. I'm just interested to know what your thoughts were on Kabak tonight.
I think like the whole back four, I think they were much more assured than they probably ever have been. And we will sort of probably end up talking about one man this evening in Fabinho. But in terms of Kabak's performance, I think he was strong. I think the person he was up against suited him and Nat Phillips. a lot of it was in front of them, but they dealt with it, and that's what you want from your centre halves. I think he was very good at reading when to sort of get in front of. Is it Poulsen, their centre forward?
Yeah.
I think he did very good aerially against him in the channels in covering Robertson when he went high. Overall, I think he had a pretty solid game. To a man, I think we were solid and just a lot more calm. I think the commentator said we just had a calmness about us tonight and a bit more confidence. And I think it just shone through and just went for everybody. But regarding Kabak, I thought he had a very solid performance alongside Nat Phillips. And I think they did their job very, very well tonight, Steve. Very happy with what they did.
I completely agree. And I think that calmness that you spoke about comes from reinstalling Fabinho into the middle of the park. There's just something about that guy, the way he plays and the ground he covers. And whenever it looks like we're going to get ourselves into difficulty, he's always there, isn't he? Dave Cole, what did you think of Fabinho tonight, mate?
He was immense. It was like he was sucking a net over everything that come near him. You know, he might as well have just played with a paddle, like he was at sea, boarding away, you know, like he'd just been jumped in a life raft. He just hit everything that moved that come near him. He just mopped it all up and swept it all away. You can get lost in the superlatives that you can chuck at him because he is that good. He is as good in what he does as Thiago does in what he does. He's just.
I think he's immense. I think, really, really highlighted to us tonight. Whilst you just mentioned Thiago, I want to come to you, Dave Powell, and get your thoughts on Thiago, because in recent weeks I've asked you to have a little look at Thiago. We never got around to speaking about it. I was hoping you'd kind of carried on in that vein, watching him since then, to have a little look at him and see what things. You and I have been quite not critical of him. We've had our reservations about how he fits into what we're trying to do. But I thought it'd be interesting to get your take on tonight's game.
Yeah, I agree with Ian. I think that probably was his best game for the club tonight. I think what I really liked about it, when he's come off tonight with, 20 minutes to go? Something like that. And he looked absolutely gutted. And he's gone and sat on the bench. He didn't actually sit in the seat. He sat on the steps and he looked devastated. And I can only put that down to the fact that he was out there, he was enjoying himself, he was enjoying the fact that we were winning a game of football for once in a while. He played a really integral part in that. He'd used the ball well. He'd done some, that's a really difficult skill with that unbelievable pass he's played to. I mean, in lots of ways, it's quite an easy pass to play because he's got a lot of ground to hit. But the technique to get the ball there is fantastic. You know, most players would have waited for that to drop another bit longer, and then the chance is probably gone. Mo's run offside. But all in all, he looked tonight like he wanted to run the game. That's what it looked to me. Whereas I think there's some other games that we've played in the Premier League, and he's played and it's passed him by a little bit. He has passed him by a bit. But tonight he looked like he wanted to get on the ball and run the game. So, yeah, good signs.
I love the way he turns the ball around the corner when he thinks he's going to lose it. And it just goes everywhere he wants it to go. I think tonight he's illustrated to us what we already knew, that he's one of the best centre midfielders in the world. And you should be having a conversation with him with the likes of De Bruyne because he's just class. Jota. Jay, what did you make of Jota today, mate?
Again, started the press, looked really lively. Every time he got on the ball, you thought that something was going to happen. I was a little bit disappointed in some of his shot selection with some of the chances he had. But I put in one of the groups that we've got, I said, do we actually want to fucking score a goal? This is before we scored. I was like, do we actually know, do we remember how to score goals, or has it been that long? Which was a little bit concerned at that point. But as soon as the first goal went in, you saw straight away the kind of, it was almost like a deep breath where the players then celebrated with each other. You saw the celebration with Mane and Fab where they've kind of high-fived. They've done the Splash Brothers celebration. And it's almost like, we're back. We're back in action. We're playing how we are used to playing. And I think Jota was instrumental to that. with the press, with the high tempo play, just running at the defence and trying to create your own luck. To be fair.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he was very mobile. We knew he was going to be mobile, didn't we? We knew the front three would be mobile. I don't know if you guys agree. I think it's really good to see Sadio get a goal. It was a good goal as well. He had to take it quickly. It came to him very quickly. He didn't slice it. It came right in the middle of the foot. Tremendous finish. Hopefully that will do that guy the world of good in terms of his confidence because he's been lacking in that. So we've got about 10 minutes left to go. We won't make it a late one because of the time. So what I'll do is I'm going to ask each and every one of you to give me a team you do want in the next round and a team you don't want in the next round, and then collectively we'll discuss why. Okay? So Ian, who do you want?
Porto.
Okay. Dave Cole, who do you want?
City. Get them out the way. Get them out the way and let's do them.
Calm down.
No, honestly, I think we could do them in the next European game. We can do them. Knock them out. Shut the fuckers up.
I like him in the final.
No, I don't want them in the final. Not a chance. No.
Who do you want, Jay?
Looking at teams that are through at the moment, I'd take Porto. We've got history there. We've beaten them before. Obviously, we've got Pep in the dugout. He knows how they play. So I'd take Porto.
Okay, Dave Powell.
It's interesting. Dave said City because I was going to say that.
Oh, sorry, Bob.
Is that your answer? Do you want City?
Yeah.
Okay. The two Daves being very bold there.
I don't want an English team in the final, mate. We've been there once before, and it was fucking nerve-wracking, wasn't it? So, like,
done the business?
I don't want that.
Did you say bold or bald? Because if we're going,
he's sitting there, chopsing off from a position of strength there, isn't he?
No, because if we're going by being bold, I'd say City just purely because of their poor experience in the Champions League, and I just don't see it happening. I mean, like tonight's I said before, there's no other team in the Premier League that could be so bad in the Premier League and be so good and assuring in the Champions League because that's just the way we are. You say Champions League in relation to an English club, we are that club. There's no two ways about it, and I just feel so much more at ease watching us in the Champions League than I do in the Premier League at the minute, purely and simply because it's a different way of football that we're playing against. And I'd go City just because of how inexperienced they are. You could say Porto. I think they're not great. You wouldn't want to be anywhere near PSG right now. But I think if you can build a bit of momentum and confidence, get some players back in, I think I'm pretty confident in this one. But yeah, I'll go with City.
What about you, Steve?
Well, I would have said City as well, and the reason why, the worst thing that can happen to us is get to a final, play City and not win it. That would be, the 12 City fans on Twitter would never let us hear the end of it, would they? So it'd be like 11 retweets and everything they said, mate, for the next 6 months. It'd just be really tough to deal with, wouldn't it?
Would have fans back by then?
Say again?
Would have fans back by then? That's why I'm thinking City in the final, because the fans are back by then.
Mate, you should never go to never go to a European final against an English side and lose, mate. Just look what it did to Pochettino. Absolutely destroyed him for 18 months, didn't it? So going in reverse, Alex, who don't you want?
PSG.
Really? Why? They're defensively dreadful, mate. I know what you're going to say, by the way.
You could say that. I think Rio made a valid point. I can't see our back four withstanding the quality that they have. Although our midfield three played very well tonight in comparison to what we've been like before, I just don't think we could compete with how to control a game the way that they'd be able to do and how relentless they would be going forward. I mean, you've seen Mbappe in the last few sort of games. He's just every time he's in front of goal, it looks like he's going to finish. Every time we're in front of goal, don't want to sort of put a damper on tonight, but I think I actually noted down Jota got to score 4 times.
Mm.
And you can't afford, if you want to be ruthless, especially in this competition, you've got to take your chances, and that's why I wouldn't want to face PSG right now.
I get that. I think PSG give you opportunities and give you chances. I think Bayern Munich give you opportunities and give you chances. I think Liverpool give you opportunities and give you chances. So those three are kind of a muchness in that regard for me. Jay, who don't you want?
Dortmund.
Really?
Yeah, don't want to go anywhere near that. Haaland's an absolute animal.
Haaland, is that the feeling of Haaland?
Absolute animal. I mean, I watched the game last night. He terrorised them, and the shithousery as well. I couldn't watch that. I couldn't have him taunting the back four, and he reminds me of like Diego Costa, just the way he runs hard, the way he taunts the back four, the wind ups. He would give our back four absolute nightmares. I think with the PSG thing, Mbappe, he's in a good run of form at the moment, but him and Neymar, they sometimes blow hot and cold. And if the game's not going their way, they almost switch off in the game. Whereas Haaland is just relentless. He's just constantly going and going and going and going and going.
Fair enough. I think if I look at our midfield today and look at Dortmund's midfield, I think that is absolutely a game we could control from the midfield. If you look at the guys who are in there today, I thought Ronaldo was immense again tonight with his recovery skills, and you don't ever see him get knocked off the ball. He never gives it away, does he? Ian, who don't you want?
I'm going to say PSG. I just don't think our back four would be able to cope. I just think Mbappe, his mobility, I think Kabak and Phillips would really, really struggle there. I don't think they're most mobile centre-halves.
Fair enough. And finally, Dave Cole, now you put that massive big thing down full of beer. Who do you want?
I would say I wouldn't want PSG or Dortmund. If we had Virgil at the back, then yeah, not a problem. But we're not ready to face that level at the moment with our centre halves the way they are. I think Phillips gets stronger with every game, and I would say if they kind of, maybe they'd look at it and go, we'll launch all sorts at him. But he did a medicine ball if he could. You know what I mean? And that's just the way he plays. He did everything. But we're not. If a team were going to launch the ball at us in the air, he'd have everything snaffled up. But on the floor, we really need Virgil back to play them sorts of teams. That is like the best way I could explain it to me.
That's perfectly fine, mate. I think in Dortmund, Bayern, City, and PSG, you've got runners who are going to get at you. You've got angles being created by clever footballers, particularly by City. The angles Kevin De Bruyne, and as much as I don't like him, but Bernardo Silva's in good form again at the moment, and the angles that those guys create would cause us all kinds of problems. For me, the worst possible thing to do, and I agree with Dave Powell, is to get to a final and lose to an English side, because I'm not ready for that conversation. I'm really not. You know what I mean? So
no.
I hope that doesn't happen. So before we close, I'm going to ask you all a question and very quickly tell me why. I'll start with you, Powell. Can Liverpool win the Champions League?
Yeah. We've been there, haven't we? 2005. I don't say anymore, Steve. But the 2005 team, Steven Gerrard pretty much at the peak of his powers, but another quality players like Alonso, Hippie was a good player, Carragher was a good player, Dee was a good player, but the squad wasn't up to it, was it? Nowhere fucking near it. So, and we won that one. So, listen, we could have to win it. We were to win it 5 more games of football. And actually, I said this to someone the other day. I said to you, Joe, the other day. You don't actually have to win any games of football now to win this competition.
Yeah,
you don't have to win any. So I just think that sometimes out of adversity comes something a bit special, doesn't it? So that's what I'm clinging to anyway, Steve.
Okay, from one Dave to another. Dave Kong, you're probably
Yeah.
the most positive Liverpool fan I've spoken to in recent weeks, mate. I love that everything's rosy in the garden for you, fella. I think it's quality and don't ever change. So I know what you're going to say. Well, ask you anyway. Do you think Liverpool can win the Champions League and why?
Without a shadow of a doubt.
There
Because
you go.
this team has got an unbelievable team spirit, and we won't be beaten. Them lads tonight showed at Champions League level there is no one better than Liverpool Football Club. We wrote the book on the Champions League. I don't give two monkeys about Barca or Real or any of them or Bayern. Liverpool are the best European side in the Champions League.
I'll take that all day, mate. That's a hell of a recommendation. That is. Right, Ian, same question. Can Liverpool win the Champions League? And if they can, tell me why.
Liverpool can, but I think they'll need a bit of luck on the way, and they'll need to get a bit more clinical on the way as well. We could have won that game about 7-0 tonight. We're not going to get many more games where we get that many chances. If we get the further you get on, the less chances you get. So I think if we can make ourselves more clinical and we get a little bit of luck, anything can happen.
Lummers, you know the drill.
Completely agree with Ian. I think luck, a little bit more ruthless in front of goal, and also keep our main players injury free. And I'm not talking about months if they miss 2 games and then they've got they're away for a game. We need to make sure everybody's fit in order to make sure that we can have a good strong 11, good squad out for each knockout tie. Yeah, confident.
And sort of second to last, because I'll finish it up, Jay. So we'll come to you now. Listening to the other lads, do you share their opinions?
Yeah, I've been saying it from the get-go. I think this year is ours. I really, really do. If you look at how things are shaping up and, the way that teams are dropping out, Juve went out yesterday, Barca went out today, some big teams are leaving the competition. We're yet to find out the results of the next ties. So we could have some other big teams coming out of the competition. Before you know it, you really start getting into the nooks and cracks and the real knockout competition. There is a small glimmer of hope I have that if we can make it through the next round and into the semis, we might have Virgil back. So if we can get Virgil back in for the latter stage of the competition, that's ours 100%. People talking about he might not come back as the same player. Just having him in the lineup will, put the fear into those forwards. They're not going to want to run at Virgil van Dijk. But, I don't give a hell what anyone says, ACL or no ACL. They're not going to run at Virgil van Dijk. So if we get a full squad, we can do it. And I do fully believe that this year is ours.
Can I ask a question? Sorry, mate. Just interject there. Who's left in the Champions League with us that have already won the competition?
There you go. So I think you've got, who else is in there? So Barca have gone out.
Dortmund won it moons ago, mate. Such a long time ago.
That's it. Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're the only team, and one of my friends is a City fan. So shout out my Never a Foul boys. One of the content owners, Daps, is a big City fan, and we were talking about this a couple of months back about not necessarily the players on the pitch knowing how to win the Champions League, but your club knowing how to win the Champions League.
It's an aura.
Yeah, it is. It's a different aura. Once you've got that behind you, and the know-how of the team, the know-how of the owners, just the whole club, the supporters, it's a different kind of kettle of fish. It really, really is.
I think you got a good point there. Manchester City boo the Champions League anthem. We embrace it, and it's kind of like sets the tone for us on the night, doesn't it? When you hear that music and the lights are on and you turn around field or whatever, and Liverpool are there, we're famed for European nights under the lights. Manchester City just do someone else's celebration, turn their back on it and boo it, and that resonates through the club. But don't get me wrong, they're a danger. So my answer to the question I posed to you guys is, I do think Liverpool can win it. I was on another show a couple of weeks ago with a Manchester City fan, and the point I made was, once you win the Champions League as a club, it gets into your system, it gets under your skin, and you cannot do anything else other than rise to the occasion when it's time to play Champions League games.
Yeah.
Manchester City don't have that. If and when they do, and with the trajectory they've been on in recent years, it will happen at some point to City, because they've got the quality to do it. They become a very dangerous animal when that happens to them. But I don't believe necessarily it's going to be this year. I think we've got a certain mentality in the group, which has been spoken about many, many times. This will be the focus of the management team. This will be the focus of the players. Let's bring that one back. You know, we won the Champions League when we beat Tottenham. City did a treble. And like to the rest of the footballing world, that treble was almost irrelevant. No one spoke about it. And I know I've had City fans digging me out for that on Twitter. The irony is they could do it again, and we could still win it again, and we still won't speak about them. So it's about history, it's about heritage. That theme tune, that music, all of the Champions League experience motivates us to go and do well. We went to the Etihad, battered them, in the quarter final a few years ago. There's no reason why we couldn't do that again. And let's be honest, last couple of times we played them, we owe them one, don't we? We got spanked by them when we were still drunk, and we got battered by them at Anfield recently when we were threadbare. So we absolutely owe them one. So not really much of a team talk needed there when it comes to that game. They'll be up for that. So thanks for joining us, everyone. Please jump on our YouTube channel and subscribe. Switch your notifications on so you don't miss any of our shows. Keep your eye on the Twitter feed for the sort of celeb shows that are coming and the other midweek stuff, which is nostalgia. Thanks to the panel. Just point out your socials, please, guys, before we go. Just tell everyone where they can find you. So, Ian, where can we get you on Twitter, mate?
Just go over to Ian Youngcop. No dashes, no nothing. Just Ian Youngcop. Simple.
Give him a follow. He's a cracking lad. Dave, where can we get you, Dave? Kong?
Dave Congate, mate. That's it, just Dave Congate.
Superb, mate. Jay, where can we get you?
So just down there at the bottom, you can see it, Thiago's father. I often get questioned about it, but my youngest son is called Thiago. So it goes well. Also, catch me over at Never a Foul. We've got loads of content over there as well, so you can catch us there too. Look, just give us a follow, like and subscribe.
Dave Powell.
There I am, look, at Powell_9. That's me.
And finally, Alex.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting past 20 followers. So, mine's at AR_Lumley91. So, yeah, feel free to follow away.
We're all follow back merchants, so if you follow us, we'll follow you back. We all want to talk to football fans, not just Liverpool fans.
Yeah.
And finally, give Red Sky Pods a follow. Keep an eye on that. Switch your notifications on Twitter as well, because there's lots of good stuff happening here. The YouTube channel is relatively new. We'll continue to grow that. Keep your eye on space, because we're on the up, guys. Thanks again to the panel for joining us both before and after the game. And we'll catch up with you over the weekend with another show. So take care, everyone. Cheers.
Cheers,
Cheers,
boys.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Cheers, boys.